it's a great pleasure to have you here, and I'm sure that everybody will enjoy your talk.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, José, for this presentation, and thank you very much for organizing this colloquium here. It's my great pleasure to be here and to present some. It does not work. It's not on.
Oh, it's on.
It's okay now? Yes, okay, better. So it's a great pleasure to present some of my work, in fact, which concern in fact, the long-range dipole-dipole interaction. So it's in cold atomic ensemble. So it's a very general title which concerns, in fact, different kind of system, the collision of cold atoms for the formation of cold molecule, and also the interaction between the cold Rydberg atom. So this work has been performed in Laboratoire Aimé Cotton, which is a laboratory of CNRS, located and associated to the Université Paris-Sud, and recently to École Normale Supérieure of Cachan. So the laboratory is located in the south of Paris, and in fact in this area below Versailles and Antony. You see here the laboratory is located on the Université of Orsay, somewhere here, and in fact this laboratory is located on the triangle made by the town of Saclay, Orsay and Palaiseau. So this area is now called Campus Paris-Saclay, and should become in the near future, in fact, the University Paris-Saclay. And there is an intense activity of research in this zone, and it's a very interesting period for the structuration of the research in this area. So I would like to present the Laboratoire Aimé Cotton, which is a old laboratory, maybe one of the oldest in France, because it has been founded, in 1927 by Aimé Cotton. Aimé Cotton was a physicist, a specialist of magneto-optical property of the matter, and he was known also to organize the French research. In particular, he has created a big instrument, in fact, the electromagnet of Académie des Sciences, which was located in Meudon. And the laboratory has been founded around this instrument, and a lot of French researchers has collaborated with Aimé Cotton by using, in fact, this big electromagnet. So Pierre Jacquinot was the second fundator of Laboratoire Aimé Cotton. He gives the name in 1951, and he's oriented the research of laboratory towards the atomic spectroscopy. And during this period, the laboratory leave the town of Meudon to move in Orsay, close to the Université Paris-Sud. So you see a picture of the big electroimant. Aimé Cotton is here. So this picture, the date is 1927. The laboratory has also been well known because he was a pioneer for the Fourier transform spectrometer. You see here one apparatus which was in the laboratory a few years ago, and now this apparatus is in the museum of the CNAM in the north of Paris. The application of the Fourier transform spectroscopy allow to produce atlas, as the atlas of iodine molecule, which has been used a lot for the laser reference in spectroscopy studies. Early in the year 70, in fact, the orientation of the laboratory has been done toward laser spectroscopy, and you see here a dye laser which was built in the year 72, something like that, and also here a whole apparatus which was the first atomic beam which has been built at Laboratoire Aimé Cotton. So the Laboratoire Aimé Cotton has know a lot of evolution from this time, And I would like here in the campus of Paris-Saclay, the different laboratories which concern the physics, the atomic molecular physics, optics, and also solid state physics, condensed matter physics. In fact, in this area there is several laboratories, in fact more than 30, and a grande école as the ENS Cachan or École Centrale de Paris should move, in fact, to be inside this area. So that's interesting synergy for the physics. And in fact, so-called Laboratoire d'Excellence, PALM, it's physics, atom, light and matter, try to make the coordination of this different research which concerns fundamental physics, academic physics and applied physics. I'm sorry, it's in French, for condensed matter, but and atomic physics, molecular physics, optics, laser, and extreme light as attoseconde laser and synchrotron laser as Soleil. You see here a few keywords which concern this activity. In fact, in particular, there is a strong activity for the frontier of quantum physics between the solid state physics, condensed matter physics, and atomic physics. And you see also a keyword as a cold atom or quantum simulator, which concern more and less my activity. So you see here a picture of the laboratory Aimé Cotton during the summer and during the winter. Sometimes there is snow. And so the activity concerns atomic physics, molecular physics, cluster physics, but also nano-object physics. The director is Jean-François Roch, which is a specialist of ENVI Center Nano-Diamond System. And you have a collaboration here with a group of Laurence Pruvot. You have also collaboration with Fabien Bretenacker and maybe some other groups. So some of you knows the activity of Laboratoire Aimé Cotton. But we have also some applied physics as a biomedical physics and also a kind of development as a laser stick, for instance, for the help of blind people in their déplacement. So you see, in fact, the number of people which are concerned by this activity. I would like to present you my own research activity, which can be characterized as a cold and correlated matter that concern, in fact, cold molecule, and the permanent people in this field are Hans Ligné, Daniel Compara, my main collaborator. We have development of the photoassociation of cold atom and formation of cold molecule. In fact, that concern the cesium atom and the dimer of cesium atom. And we have also development in a laser cooling of the internal degree of freedom of the molecule. That means vibration and the rotation, by using, in fact, a femtosecond shape laser to perform this kind of laser cooling. We develop also a decelerator of supersonic molecular beam to form cold molecule as, for instance, the fluoride of barium, BAF. We have a cold Rydberg atom activity. My collaborator is mostly Patrick Chenet, but a little bit Daniel Compara, also in this field. That concerns ensemble of Rydberg atom, and we study, in fact, the many body effect inside this kind of ensemble, and we try to characterize a few body effect in this kind of ensemble. The other direction of research is the quantum simulation, which is a subject of a large interest for many groups at this time. With some link with the cold Rydberg atom, we study also the ultra-cold correlated plasma, neutral plasma, which can be obtained by the ionization of an ensemble of cold atoms. There is a new experiment we start at Laboratoire Aimé Cotton, more and less correlated with me, by Jacques Robert and Lucas Barré. I am not really involved in this experiment. That concerns, in fact, the laser cooling of hydrogen with the development of quasi-CW Lyman alpha wavelength laser. for application in metrology, in collaboration with LKB, for example, with the group of François Bérabin or François Ney, and also maybe for some application with anti-hydrogen. Daniel Campara participe to the group AEGIS at CERN. Finally, we have also an activity for the application of cold atom by using them to realize source of ion or electron, monoenergetic source, for instance, for application for focus ion beam device. And we have a collaboration with the company Orsay Physique. And you see here the ionic microscopy of a grid. Okay, the resolution is not still terrific, but we have a strong improvement in this direction. So the subject of my talk concerns, in fact, the red and the blue, subject in this slide, and I have tried to unify these two subjects, which concern, in fact, long-range interaction between cold atoms. This is the direction of my research from 15 years ago now, and it's more or less the same concept which is used for photoassociated molecule and for frozen Rydberg gas, and this concept is a dipole-dipole interaction between the atoms. So how cold we are, in fact, today, in fact, we are able to have a cold atom at different temperature, from the Kelvin to the nano-Kelvin. It's not the same technique. So the laser cooling concerns, in fact, the temperature around the micro-Kelvin, up to 100 micro-Kelvin. This is the temperature which are obtained in the magneto-optical trap. And in fact, that concerns my experiment. It's for performing the photoassociation of cold atom, or the experiment for Rydberg simulation. In fact, the de Broglie wavelength is, in this case, of the order of the size of the particle. When the de Broglie wavelength become of the order of the distance of the particle, we are in the quantum degeneracy regime with the Bose-Einstein condensation and the quantum gas formation. Generally, in fact, we don't use laser cooling, but we need evaporative cooling to reach this kind of regime. At the opposite, below the millica, we have also a subject very interesting for cold atom and also cold molecule, which is the use of supersonic molecular beam. So this molecule, this sample of molecules are cold, but they have a translation velocity which is very important, and there is a lot of study by different groups for slowing, for decelerating this kind of molecular beam by using a Stark-Zeeman or Stark-Rydberg decelerator. So this area of research is very interesting for precision measurement and to make some fundamental tests of the physics. And I can mention, for instance, the research which concerns the electric dipole momentum of the electron, parity violation, or also the time variation of the constant at the fine structure, for instance. Okay, but my talk concerns this kind of cold system, so roughly at 100 microkelvin, and with density of atom which range between 10 to the 9 up to 10 to the 12. So atom-atom interaction. So in the ground state, you know, at the asymptotic behavior, the atom interacts by roughly by van der Waals coupling, which scale as a C6 on R to the 6. For cold atom, this kind of interaction is very important, in fact, in Bose-Einstein condensation. It can be described by using a scattering length, in fact, theoretically. For dilute cold atomic gases, it's not so crucial. There is some effect which concerns this short-range interaction, but it's not a subject of this talk. So we could have some long-range interaction, so meaning dipole-dipole coupling. For instance, if we consider one atom in the ground state and one atom in the first excited state, and in this case, we have a quite interesting configuration. In particular, we should be able to observe an efficient photoassociation process for the cold atom, the formation of photoassociated molecules, that means electronically excited molecule, and these molecules are very long range. That means their elongation can be really huge. And I would like also to show that this kind of study has allowed us a few years ago to realize the formation of cold molecule in the ground state. So roughly, when we consider these two kinds of atoms, for instance, in the case of cesium, in the ground state 6s and in the excited state 6p, we could have, in some sense, exchange of their excitation. So we have dipole coupling. That means, in fact, the ground state atom can see the rotated electromagnetic field, well-known field emitted by the atom 6p. We have a radiative part in this interaction. So that means, for instance, the atom A can absorb a spontaneously emitted photon by the atom B. But we have also a non-radiative part, and in the near-field regime, that means in a regime where the distance of between the two atoms is smaller than the wavelength, or the wavelength divided by p, we have a dipole-dipole interaction. So we will see, in fact, the same kind of approach will be also valid for the Rydberg atom. So so in a small volume, in fact, if we consider n atom, n two-level atom, you can write the equation for the spontaneous emission of an ensemble of two-level atom, which is coupled to the vacuum of the electromagnetic field. So in a Born-Markov approximation, we can describe the equation for the spontaneous emission. And you have this kind of equation if we consider the two-level atom described by a spin operator. So I don't want to comment too much, but in blue you have the spontaneous emission of one atom. So in red you have the cooperative spontaneous emission, which is responsible for the superradiance or the subradiance. And in green you have a term which corresponds to the dipole-dipole interaction. Well-known dipole interaction, which is roughly described by this kind of equation. So this is the basis of this physics, and now I consider, in fact, the excitation of a pair of atoms, a pair of two colliding atoms at large distance, and at large distance, in fact, below the limit 6x plus 6p, we have in a molecular shape, in fact, we have an attractive potential which are responsible for the existence of a long-range electronically excited molecule, which where the radial wave function is given by this kind of radial wave function. We see here the allure of this wave function. So there is a strong probability for the two atoms to be at a very large distance, and sometimes they vibrate like that, but most of the time the two atoms are very, very far all together. So, in fact, the photoassociation consists in for two atoms at large distance to absorb one photon and to excite this kind of molecule. In fact, we are in a cold regime, so that means, in fact, in the continuum of state corresponding to the collision of two atoms, we have a band of energy very narrow, so at 100 microkelvin, the width of this band of energy is only 2 megahertz. So it's smaller than the natural width of the vibrational level which can be excited. So we can consider, in fact, the photoassociation as a quasi-bound-bound transition, and that's why it's so efficient, in fact, in photoassociation. And also, it's because it's at long range, so we have a strong probability to have a few events to form electronically excited molecule via photoassociation. So this excited molecule has nevertheless a very short lifetime, roughly 10 nanoseconds, which is smaller than the characteristic time to form one molecule in the mode sample. Roughly this characteristic time is around the microsecond. That means, in fact, in the sample, you have nearly no electronically excited photoassociated molecule. And that doesn't mean this effect is negligible, because in fact, the photon is emitted, and due to the Frank-Condon factor, this emission, in fact, is produced at large distance, and we have the dissociation of the molecule. And generally, we consider that the rate for the formation of cold molecule is negligible. So, in fact, this kind of effect can be seen by trap losses. We scan the laser and we see the variation of population, variation of atom inside the atomic sample, the cold atomic sample. So, okay, you see here a schema of the experiment. So, we have a magneto-optical trap, and we have here roughly the characteristic of this trap, 100 million of atoms, density between 10 to the 11 to 10 to the 12 per cubic centimeter. We light this trap with a titanium sapphire laser to realize the photoassociation. We observe the trap loss of the trap by looking at the fluorescence of the trap due to the trapping laser. But if we have a formation of cold molecule in the ground state, we use a Rampey process to ionize this cold molecule. And for that, we use a time-of-flight mass spectrometer to discriminate between the different ions, in particular between the Cs plus and Cs2 plus. And the Cs2 plus ion, yes?
Question. What's the efficiency of the process? The formation, how many molecules can form when you do photoassociation with the Ti7? Is a
roughly,
right?
roughly here we observe a formation of 1,000 molecules typically.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. In the ground state.
Out of what previous sample?
How?
You had a sample before, like 10 to the, I don't know.
We have 100 million of atoms, and in 1 millisecond, roughly typical time for the interaction, we have 1,000 molecules or 10,000 molecules.
1,000 to 10,000 out of 1 million.
Yes, that's right. And so we detect by this way a signature for the formation of cold molecules. So you see here below this dissociation limits, it's 6s, 6p real, so the fine structure of the p state. We have 4 possible attractive levels, which give us 4 curve for the formation of cold molecule. And two potentials are quite interesting. They present a double well, as here. This potential is called 0G minus. We are in a case of Hund C, and you have also here the 1U. And this kind of long-range well can be excited, and we are able to excite, in fact, the rotational state inside this long-range well. So you see this is a relatively old result, in fact. So in red you have the trap loss spectrum, and we see, in fact, more and less the expected vibrational progression for the photoassociated molecule. But in black, we have, in fact, the ion, Cs2 plus ion spectrum, and we observe, in fact, the whole vibrational progression for the 0G minus and 1U state, which present this long-range long-range well. And this long-range well is quite interesting because here we have a quantum point which is very interesting for spontaneous emission and for the stabilization of the molecule, either in the triplet state or in the ground state of the molecule. So that's so the peak here are the vibrational level for the 0G minus. We have V equals 0 here, V equals 10. This is 40, I think. And here is the progression for the 1U potential, V equals 1 and V equals 7 here. You have 7. So we have modulation of this peak, which is due, in fact, to the modulation of the wave function of the ground state, in fact. So that's also give us a possibility for measurement of the scattering line, for instance. Okay. So this kind of spectrum was very rich, in fact, and we obtained by this way cold molecule, but cold molecule which are in different vibrational level in the ground state. And what can we do with this kind of molecule? So our first question was, it is possible to put all the molecule in a given vibrational level. That means, in fact, are we able to cool the vibration of the rotation of this kind of molecule? And we have proposed, in fact, laser cooling for this internal degree of freedom of the molecule. And the idea is to use, in fact, the optical pumping process, in fact, to laser manipulate this kind of state. So the optical pumping has been introduced a long time ago by Alfred Kastler. It's the result of cycle absorption of plus spontaneous emission to transfer the atom or the molecule from one level to another. For instance, we are able in cesium to isolate the transition F equal 4 toward F equal 5, so this is the hyperfan level of 6p3 and 6s, by using, for instance, this optical pumping laser from F equals 3 toward F equal 4, which accumulate after cycle all the atoms in F equal 4. This is a key point for the laser manipulation and for the laser cooling or trapping of the atom, because by this way we are able to apply a radiative force, in fact, due to the cycle, for instance, between absorption of the light of a laser by the atom on the transition between 4 and 5. So we have a cycle on this transition, and due to this cycle, we can exert a radiative force on the atom. In fact, the atom absorbs always the same photon, and the photon transmits this impulsion to the atom, and on the contrary, by a spontaneous emission, the photon is emitted in all the direction, and for a given direction, we have the same probability to emit the photon in one sense or in the other sense. So this is interesting, but we cannot apply this kind of process to the molecule, because the molecule are a more complex system due to the vibration and to the rotation, and generally is difficult to isolate a two-level system. It's not completely impossible, because there are some exceptions, and in fact there is a very interesting work by David Demille for particular molecule as ytterbium, fluoride of ytterbium, for instance, where the Frank-Condon factor are close to 1, and we are able to isolate some shim by this way, two-level shim by this way. So the development at LAC will concern the laser cooling of the vibration and the rotation, and for that we use shape spectrally broadband laser. I would like to show you the ID. Okay. So I will develop, in fact, the vibrational cooling of the molecule. So the idea is, fact, initially we have a molecule in the ground state, but in different level of vibration. So we use a spectrally broadband laser to excite electronically this molecule with this kind of transition. And after spontaneous emission, we change the distribution of the population for the different vibrational level. So that's the first point. The second point is to shape the broadband laser to suppress, in fact, all the excitation from the V equals 0. So by this process, we never excite the molecule in V equals 0. And we hope by this way to accumulate the molecule in this state. And that's the elementary process for the laser cooling of the vibration. So in fact, we use a femtolaser mod-lock laser, and the shaping is realized by sending the broadband laser on a diffracting grating, and we use, in fact, micromirror matrix to suppress, in fact, the blue part of the laser spectrum. So you see here the experiment. So we apply a photosensation laser. We have molecule in the ground state in different vibrational level. We use a Rampey process to analyze the distribution of the population. And we add the broadband laser, and you see, in fact, a change in the spectrum. The blue spectrum becomes the red one, and we have a very narrow line, an intense line, which correspond, in fact, to transition from V equals 0 toward V equals 0, in this case is the C state, and from V equals 0 in the ground state to V equal 1 or 2. And this line, in fact, are the proof for the transfer of the molecule from all the vibrational level towards the V equals 0. The efficiency is roughly 65%. So the people who have participated to the experiment are Anthony Compara, Mehdi Amada, who was a postdoc, who have collaboration with Maria Allegrini of PEAS, Issam Manai was a PhD student, and the first PhD student was Mathieu Vito and Sam Sotia. And for the theory, we have a collaboration with the group of Olivier Dulieu at Laboratoire Aimé Cotton. I come back to the long-range potential. I will present here the case of 1U with the excitation of the V equal 1. So you have, I present a broadband spectrum previously. At a higher resolution, we observe a lot of lines which can explain by taking into account the hyperfine coupling and the rotation. So the calculation has been made by Anne Crubeliot at Laboratoire Aimé Cotton. It has a quite nice agreement. But here we see we are at the frontier between atomic and molecular physics. This kind of calculation are purely atomic calculations. There is no, for instance, molecular exchange term in this kind of calculation. And I would like to show you for the transition with the Rydberg atom. So we can calculate this outer wall. So this is the case of the 0G minus state. In fact, they are due to the spin-orbit coupling with the dipole-dipole coupling between the atoms. So in this case, in fact, we have a coupling between these two molecular states, which give as result this long-range well. We can generalize that to Rydberg state, and you see here a calculation, quick calculation, and you see in this case we have a long-range well, but at a huge distance in peak. Here it's 60,000 atomic units. That means 3 micrometers. So you see here immediately we have the same kind of concept, the dipole-dipole interaction, but with the Rydberg atom we have a kind of zoom on the physical property, in fact, and in fact this property is scaled as a power of the principal quantum number of the Rydberg atom, and this is true for the dimension of the system, for the energy, for the time, and that makes the Rydberg system as very interesting for studying many physical problems. So I would like to introduce this amazing and exaggerated property of the Rydberg atom. So I go very fast. So Rydberg atoms are highly excited atoms with high principal quantum number, and their energy scale as below the dissociation limit as minus 0.5 divided by the square of the principal quantum number. So this is well known. And so this is an atomic unit. That means twice the Rydberg constant. This is, okay, roughly for the hydrogen atom. For non-hydrogen atom, we have to introduce a quantum defect, in particular for the atom with low angular momentum, as S, P, or D. We have the property of the Rydberg atom. First, this is the giant size, which scale as the square of the principal quantum number. That means for n equal 100, 1 micrometer. So it's quite huge. The lifetime scale as the inverse of the cube of the n, principal quantum number. This is for low L. And for n equal 20, the lifetime is 1 microsecond. That means for 100, we have a lifetime of the order of 100 microseconds, even milliseconds. So that's become a long time, and it's why the Rydberg atom can be used for a lot of physical problems to study very new physical situations. So they are sensitive to black body radiation. We have to be careful with that in the experiment. But they're also very sensitive to any weak field perturbation, electric field, magnetic field, terahertz or microwave, RF electromagnetic field. And also they are very sensitive to the collision. And at this point I would like to mention the huge electric dipolar momentum which can be acquired by the Rydberg atom. And this angular momentum can reach n to the square in atomic unit. That means, in fact, it is several thousand times larger than the angular electric dipole momentum of a very polar molecule. That means, in fact, this kind of momentum is of the order of a few thousand dBi. That's really huge. And that makes, in fact, in particular, the dipole-dipole interaction very, very efficient. I would like to say two other things. In fact, the experimental facility to use Rydberg atom, one point is, they are easy obtained by laser excitation, and the other point is they can be selectively ionized by pulse field electric field, and we can discriminate with a different Rydberg atom by this way. So Rydberg atom interaction. So in Rydberg atom has permanent dipole. So they are coupled by van der Waals coupling, which is already an important coupling, but they can be coupled by long-range dipole coupling, for instance by adding an external static electric field. You see here the Stark diagram for the Rydberg atom. But a more interesting coupling is dipole-dipole coupling, as previously mentioned. As for instance, we have one Rydberg atom in NS state, one other in NP, and we can have an exchange of their excitation. So this exchange corresponds to a dipole-dipole coupling, which scale has to n to the fourth divided by the cube of the interatomic distance between the two atoms, and this is a huge interaction. A more interesting process, in fact, which corresponds also to an exchange of internal energy, is to consider now two atoms in the NP state, for instance, and one, they can exchange energy, one is transferred in the level NS, and the other one in the level N plus 1S. So this kind of coupling has been introduced a long time ago now by Tom Gallagher. We call recently this kind of resonance Foster resonance by analogy with the biological Fred process. I would say a word about that. And in fact, the population transfer has been observed for hot, cold collision, and also for frozen Rydberg, which is the subject of this talk. So an example is given with a cesium for n smaller than 40. We have the interaction between two NP3 atoms, which give NS and N plus 1S, and this kind of resonance is obtained by adding a small electric field. We move the energy of the NP3 level. So for a value of the static electric field, this NP state is midway in energy between the two S states. And by doing the experiment, we are able, for instance, to see three resonances by analyzing the signal of transfer toward, for instance, N plus 1S versus the electric field. So we see the three resonances. These resonances are due to the different magnetic level of the NP3 alpha. M equal 1 half plus N equal 1 half is the resonance A. 3 half plus 3 half is the resonance C. And if we have a mixture of 1 half and 3 half, we can also observe the resonance B. So we are able to realize, in fact, an ensemble of cold Rydberg atoms which interact strongly all together. And we can do the frozen approximation, so we can ignore, in fact, the motion of this cold Rydberg atom. So at the scale of the experiment, roughly the microsecond, in fact, this atom does not move so much. In this kind of approximation, we have a kind of an amorphous solid where the Rydberg interact at large distance. So the interaction is important for close neighbor, but the Rydberg atom can interact with several atoms, and the problem is the system is governed by two-body effect, or are many body effects present. So we have a link with photoassociation of cold atom, but in fact the problem is very different. Here we have really many body problem possible. In photoassociation, we have only rare event in the interaction. So I would like to comment this two things. There is other very interesting question. What about the excitation? And in fact, the dipole blockade of this excitation. In fact, that means in fact when one Rydberg atom is excited, in the vinicity of this Rydberg atom, in fact, the Rydberg level are shift, and no other Rydberg atom can be excited. And if we do that with a strong coupling, we can have only one excitation, which lead to entanglement of atoms through a collective excitation, and which can be used for scalable quantum gate. If we have many excitation, we can have a crystallization. For instance, there is a very nice work by the group of Emmanuel Bloch. Or we can also observe the subquotient statistic of the excitation, work of the group of Arimondo, and we can imagine a lot of possible quantum simulation. We can also discuss the force which are exerted between these cold atoms. This force can be repulsive or attractive. When they are attractive, we can have ionization and formation of ultra-cold plasma. This is an interesting also subject. So the experimental setup in our lab, so we have always a magneto-optical trap of cesium. We use a three-step laser excitation to excite the NP level, and by using a pulse ionization ramp of the electric field, we are able to discriminate between the P excitation and the NS excitation, N plus 1S excitation, and the NS excitation. In this case, N is equal to 28. So you see here the people who have participated with this experiment. It's a collaboration with Ennio Arimondo. So Ricardo Fauro, who is a PhD student, Bruno Pell, postdoc, Patrick Chenet, Daniel Compara, here Henri Lehec, a new PhD student here Alexandre Giuliani, present electron. Johann Bruno is involved in the source of electron and ion using cold atom, in fact. So I would like to show you the use of this Foster resonance to observe a two-body process, but also three-body process and the consequence for the many-body process. So I show you. So I show you here a two-body Foster resonance by observing the transfer towards the 24s state. So we have atoms which are prepared in the 23p3 alpha level. And you see this transfer is quite efficient when we study it versus the static electric field. In fact, we obtain the saturation of this transfer. And we can consider, in fact, the Foster resonance as an exchange of virtual photons in the two atoms. One atom emits a photon on the transition p toward S prime, and this photon is this virtual photon is absorbed by the other one with a transfer towards the S state. So, in fact, this kind of Foster resonance are present everywhere. And when we scan the laser, as here, after exciting the 28 p3 alpha m equal 3 alpha level, we observe a lot of peaks depending on the detection of the 28s or 29s. And these peaks all these peaks are understood, and they are due to the presence close to the S state of the state of the manifold. And we have in particular transfer towards the 28s and 25f. So this is the red resonance here, and the blue corresponds to transfer toward 29s and 24f. So you see this is very efficient, and this is a dipole-dipole coupling, and the dipole-dipole coupling is possible because the presence of the electric field will mix all this level. But if we understand all this resonance, one of resonance has resisted and was not identified. And we have identified, it changed. So it was a three-body effect, in fact. So you see here we analyze the transfer of population towards the n plus ns or n plus 1s. So the n plus 1 is the blue curve, it's horizontal, and ns is the red curve. After the excitation here of n equal 32 p3 alpha, m equal 1 alpha. So we see the two-body Foster resonance. But here we have an extra peak, and we have interpreted this peak as a three-body effect. In fact, we have two atoms which try to react by dipole-dipole coupling, but they are out of resonance, so they cannot emitted or absorbed the same virtual photon. And we need a third atom to match the difference of energy. And by this case, we have a transfer of np3 alpha to our np3 alpha, but with a change of magnetic number. So we go from m equal 1 alpha to m equals 3 alpha. So so there is two possible processes, and we have interference between these two processes for the transfer.
But how do you distinguish this process from the previous one?
They are not at the same position, in fact. So it's given here. You see here a three-atom Stark energy diagram. So in fact it's a three-atom Stark energy minus the energy of Epi. So the S states are not so perturbed by the electric field. So this curve is flat. It corresponds to two atoms in ns and n plus 1 s state, and in n p 3 half in m equal 1 half for all 3 half. So this is 3 half, this is 1 half. And they cut 4 curves which correspond to 3 atoms in p level, but with different m, 1 half or 3 half. So we have 4 curves. So here is the curve which corresponds to 3 atoms in m equal 1 half, and here the curve of, we have the 3 atoms in p level, but with m equal 3 half. And you see, we cut here the curve. So this is a two-level process, in fact, a two-body process here, which correspond to the previous Foster resonance. But here, at this point, on the left, you have the three-body process, which occur for a different value of the static electric field. So, which is interesting. So, I have presented you this configuration. For the other configuration, we have also, so all the atoms prepare in m equals 3 half. We have also a three-body process, but this process is expected on the other side, so on the right side compared to the two-body process. So it's always horizontal. And you see here, in fact, this extra peak, which corresponds to this three-body process. So we have obtained similar result at the good resonance for different states between 35 and 28, and we are convinced by the evidence of this three-body body effect.
So what you measure in the experiment is just the fluorescence?
It's just a transfer of population at the right, not fluorescence, it's a transfer population. We detect the Rydberg atom by ionization, by field ionization, electric field ionization. Yeah.
In order to, in the previous slide, in order to access one or another state value, scan adiabatic in the electric field?
No, the electric field is fixed.
It's fixed, okay.
So we do the experiment for different value of electric field,
Okay.
and we obtain point which correspond to the transfer towards the S level. So the position for the three-body process is different as for the two-body process, and for the different excitation of the Rydberg atom, we observe resonance at the different value of the electric field. So you see now a result for n equals 35. So this is for the excitation of m equals 3 half, and we have the peak here for the three-body process. So if we analyze the intensity of this peak versus the initial number of excited Rydberg atom, you see a variation as the square of the initial number of Rydberg atom. If we do the same thing for the three-body Foster resonance, we have same kind of variation, but now we have a variation as the cube of the number of excited Rydberg atom. Okay, you see a recent measurement where we have the non-saturated evolution, and we reach the saturation for the two-body process, and we have a beginning of saturation for the three-body one. So, do we learn something about interplay between the two, three, few-body and many-body process? So, few-body process are always difficult to detect, to analyze, because they are generally mixed with the two-body process, and they appear when we saturate the two-body process, so they are very difficult to analyze. So the Kohl-Rydberg atom allow us to discriminate the few-body process. For instance, by different position of the resonance, we can also have a population transfer towards a different Rydberg level. In the few-body process, there is also many interference schemes which can enhance this kind of process, and that's maybe can explain, in fact, the intensity of this process. We observe more than 10% of transfer, up to 15 or even more. And the evidence of this three-body process can also explain the by some way the many body process which are observed in the two-body one. In fact, the three-body process, we have three atoms like that, and in fact, we can obtain this kind of result. So, two s atom and one in a p with a change of a magnetic number. In the two-body process, we should have the same, in fact, or we have the presence of a third atom with T is the same level, but that can explain, in fact, the migration of the product of reaction. In fact, these atoms are close, so they should react preferentially, but we can have the migration due to this three-body process. And in fact, a few years ago, we have developed this kind of approach, in fact, to explain, in fact, the broad line of this Rydberg transfer, which was the width of this line was unexpected. In fact, it was 10 or 100 times larger than I expected, and that could be due to the migration of the product of reaction. And in fact, the few-body process avoid, in fact, to localize the reaction only at the close neighbor, but the product of reaction can migrate, and the pair of cold atoms can react again, and that explains, in fact, the interplay between the two-body Foster resonance and the migration of the reaction, which make a many-body problem for the cold atom, cold Rydberg atom in Foster coupling. So more. So 4 or 5 body resonance could be possible. So we have tried to see them. So we have this kind of reaction. I don't comment so much, but we see, we expect 5 body at this point, 4 body at this point, 5 body process at this point. Okay, we are not able to have a conclusion at this moment. And I have to conclude. So I would like to show you the importance of this long-range dipole-dipole interaction to play with cold atom. So the photoassociation has bring an interesting contribution to the problem of cold molecule with the first demonstration of a cold molecular sample. There is many possible configurations to form cold molecule. Photoassociation can occur not only for homonuclear system, but also for heteronuclear system. We need a denser sample. And recently we have also seen a very general process for photoassociation with cascading spontaneous emission. So we have only the spontaneous emission of one photon, but 2 photons in cascade. And this process is quite general and quite efficient for the formation of cold molecule by photoassociation. So the domain of cold molecule is very active in many directions and always in progress now. So the Rydberg atom are a very interesting system because the huge range distance for the interaction, and they are a nice device for quantum engineering or for quantum simulator. For the few body process, so we can isolate the few body process and consider it as an elementary process for the evolution of the system. That offers a lot of perspective, for instance, for quantum information, implantation of new gate, heraldic entanglement. We can also think to entanglement of many atoms, which could be maybe interesting in quantum metrology, but this is maybe a little early to say that. So there is an analogy with the biological fret and the Foster resonance with Rydberg atom that can offer a model for the biology, for the fret process. This three-body process offers possibility also to realize micro-trimer formed with the 3 Rydberg atom, and the process should be efficient, so could we go further? So I have tried to show you that the Rydberg atom can offer a kind of Lego game to build a new physical situation, maybe new chemical arrangement, maybe to go further to simulate fast transition in the system. There is also novel perspective with the use of atom with two optical active electrons for performing non-destructive imaging detection or for maybe laser manipulation of this Rydberg atom. So one electron is on a Rydberg stack and the other one is used for laser manipulation. So that could be very interesting approach. There is also the double Rydberg atom, where two atoms are excited on a double Rydberg state. And this is also the physics of the quantum chaos, which is a quite interesting question. So I thank you for your attention.
Question, comment?
I have one question. When you have a Rydberg atom, well, when you have an ordinary atom,
Yeah.
you consider that light has the wavelength of light is so big that you can consider that the atom is a point, and you can consider only the dipole term on the big term.
At the last distance, we can consider only the dipole interaction. At shorter distance, you have to take into account other coupling. For instance, with the Rydberg atom, recently the group of Frederick Merck has put in evidence a coupling which corresponds to dipole quadrupole coupling between Rydberg atom. So, okay, but
So people can see up to quadrupole, usually in Rydberg atom?
in Rydberg atom, yes, it's a recent result, the demonstration of a dipole quadrupole coupling with Rydberg atom.
No, the question would go to that. So
Okay, so I give the answer in advance.
More questions?
In the experiment where you use the shape femtosecond pulse,
Yes?
is that a sequence of pulses or is it a single?
No, it's a sequence of pulses.
Okay.
We need several pulses to do the experiment, but not many pulses. In fact, it's less than 100 pulses are enough to put all the molecules in the ground state. So it's a relatively fast process, in fact.
Okay, and how? So, but there is a characteristic time between pulses, right?
No, the pulses are shaped always by the same way. So we apply always the same pulse for the optical pumping of our molecule and accumulation in one chosen level. So I present here the result for V equals 0, but it could be V equal 1, 2, 3, and so on.
I had the impression that the pulses would have to change in the sequence. The
No,
first is different from the
they don't change in the sequence. We have made another approach. Here we suppress, in fact, the frequency which corresponds to the excitation of one level, so it was V equals 0. But we can make a more complex scheme by keeping only the good frequency to guide the molecule with the better way to go in V equals 0. We can do that. It works, but we have no better efficiency.
Just one more question in the same direction, sorry. In your case, you have suppressed that frequency by the shaping was throwing away.
Yes, in V equals 0 it's relatively simple. We have just to suppress the blue part. In V equal 1 it's more complex. So we have to really shape the system. So for V equals 0, we just need to put a block. Yes, it's enough, and it works.
Is chirping the pulse, putting in.
We don't do that. We have tried to think to that. It could be interesting, but here in this case, in fact, it's a completely incoherent process, and so we don't need a very sophisticated approach, in fact. But if we consider coherent process, it's another problem, and a very interesting problem, which has been, for instance, developed by Ronnie Kosloff and co-worker, and there is probably a lot of new possibility, novel possibility by this way too.
What's the lifetime of this molecule and what can be done to enlarge that?
The lifetime of
Such a molecule.
the molecule in the ground state? In the ground state, their lifetime is very long because, in fact, it's a cesium 2, so it's a mononuclear system, so we have no transition between the vibrational level. So, in fact, we lose our molecule before their lifetime. It was not the true for heteronuclear system. Yes. Most of them are closed, yes, in Meudon-Bellevue. I think there are still some laboratories, I am not sure because it changed very quickly, in mechanics maybe, and in some application in biology also, something like that. But the center is mostly administrative center and meeting center now. But the castle has been renewed and it's very nice, in fact. And the big electromagnet has been put as a museum, and it's also very nice to visit it. Yeah. Sorry. So laboratory?
Magnetism.
It's closed from a long time ago now. Yeah. So there is some laboratory like that in Toulouse and in Grenoble too, in fact, but no longer in Paris, in fact.
More questions? Maybe I just have one general one.
Yeah.
I know that there are a lot of people that are trying to use the Rydberg atoms to develop some quantum protocols for quantum information. So I would like to have your view on that. What do you think about that?
So it's quite interesting to use Rydberg atom because for two reasons. The first one is we can make two atoms interact at a very large distance, 100 micrometer or 200 micrometer, so it's quite huge. And the second, it can be a very fast process to untangle the two atoms. So, for instance, the experiment by the group of Grangier and Antoine Brouez and the group of Safman and co-worker has made this kind of protocol to perform quantum gates, CNOT quantum gate, in fact. I don't know the last result, but they have a big fidelity and in the entanglement and so on. So it's a quite promising system for the demonstration of a quantum gate, and it's quite efficient. I don't know if it's very useful for quantum computation, but at least for the demonstration, it works pretty well, in fact.
Okay. More questions? If not, let's thanks.